Good morning, church. My name is Bridget Keylor, and I have the privilege of working on our campus development team, traveling, loving, supporting, and resourcing campuses all across our state. But I started in Little Life, and so I have to give a huge shout out to every Little Life leader all across the state who every weekend are loving and serving children and families well. What? We love you. So I was asked this morning just to share some wisdom from Proverbs, and I was happy to do it. I feel like God is so faithful to us to give us such easy access to his wisdom through this book of the Bible. And if we're willing just to dig in just a little bit to each chapter, each verse, we're going to find little gems of wisdom. One of those gems that I found is in Proverbs 6. Proverbs 6 is entitled the Parental Counsel chapter. It is like a father having an advice conversation with their son. And so we pick up in verse 6 of chapter 6 in the Message version with this. You lazy fool, look at an ant. Watch it closely. Let it teach you a thing or two. Nobody has to tell it what to do. All summer, it stores up food. At harvest, it stockpiles provisions. How long are you going to laze around doing nothing? How long before you get out of bed? Sounds like some fathers and sons I know. That wisdom is all about a tiny little insect called the ant. Now, I must confess, I have an aversion to ants. Started about 2 years ago. I often inventory things in our warehouse because as good stewards, we want to make sure we know what we have and how much we have so that we're making wise decisions with our resources. So I was doing some inventory. I was pulling some buckets out of a trailer that hadn't been used in several months, and here I go pulling another box out of fabric. I'm like, let me inventory, see how many panels of fabric are in this box. And I see some movement. And I know what you're thinking. What is a tiny little ant going to do to you? No big deal. You're right. A tiny little ant would have done nothing to me. I would have just flicked it off and kept moving. But we're not talking about tiny ants, y'all. We're talking about like ants the size of my thumb. Huge, super giant ants like the kinds you would see in a horror movie. Coming at you. I have never screamed so much, jumped so far, and brought so much ant killer back to the warehouse as I did that day. Don't worry. Ants, I don't know how they fared, but I'm fine. I know you're worried about that. But despite my aversion to ants, I know that God had a purpose in using this tiny little insect in this chapter of the Bible to share wisdom about work. I think if we look at the lessons that we can pull from an ant, God is revealing how he wants us to approach work as well. The first thing I notice is that we are capable of much more than we ask or imagine. We're capable of much more than we think we are. An ant can carry 20 times its weight. And it does all the time to take care of the colony's needs. It carries 20 times its weight. Now, I don't know how much CrossFit I would have to do to get to the point where I can carry 20 times my weight. Don't know if it's even possible, but I know that God is always calling me to more than I'm capable of. And he is always faithful to show me that with his help, I can do above all that I'm asking or imagining is possible. Second thing I notice, ants don't do it alone, and neither should we. An ant works within a colony. Each ant has a specific job it's designed and built to do, but there's only about 3 or 4 jobs. That means thousands of ants are doing the exact same thing. An ant, when it goes out to forage for the colony, will leave a pheromone trail so all the other ants can follow it and can help it do its work. We're meant to share our work. We're meant to enter into community with one another, not just so that we succeed, but that our community, our colony succeeds as well. Third thing, last thing I notice is that an ant is super aware of the source and the purpose behind its work. You know, the queen is what every other ant is serving and protecting. The queen's job is to lay eggs and to continue to grow the community. The ant's job is to protect and care for its creator, to support and honor the creator with the work that they're doing. And y'all, that is what we are created to do. We are created to honor and serve with the works of our hands, our Father God who created us. You know, I think Paul said it best in Colossians 3:17 when he said, in everything we do, in word or deed, do it all for the glory of God, thanking God the Father for it. Guys, God gave us the work. He equips us for the work. He's our ultimate purpose. If we lose sight of that, we lose sight of why we're working. So, church, I encourage you to dive into Proverbs 6 today and to think about what you're working for and how you're working. Take the lessons from the ant and go with it. Work heartily as to the Lord, knowing that your reward is that you're benefiting your community, knowing that you can and will do hard things with God's help, and that God is going to get all the glory. Blessings to you, church. Have a great day.